Welcome back, Outliers, to our final episode of the season.
That's right, it's so sad. Thank you for tuning in for the last 3 seasons.
Thank you so much. I wanted this to be something that helps catch you up on what you need to know. And this will be my final episode before entering the real world, so I hope we've done just that.
Me too. Please.
Having declared his signature healthcare initiative a success, Barack Obama heads to Michigan today to advance another top domestic priority, raising minimum wage. In a speech at the University of Michigan, he'll renew his call to Congress for an increase in the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. Later, the president heads to Chicago for 2 fundraising events for the Democratic National Committee.
But this law is doing what it's supposed to do. It's working. It's helping people.
You heard it from the president himself. Well, the marketplace for the Affordable Care Act, even with a bumpy start, signed more than 7 million people up with coverage since its launch. If you missed the deadline, a fee may be coming your way. Healthcare.gov says if you don't have health insurance, the penalty may be calculated in 2 different ways. The first is 1% of your income or $100, whichever is higher. Those rates go up every year. A senior administration official says Healthcare.gov saw more than 4.8 million visits and 2 million calls were made to the call center Monday.
Journalists take a risk when reporting in certain areas, and 2 journalists endured just that. And joining us with our international news is Tatiana Garcia. Tatiana, tell us a little more about this.
That's right, Sam. After being held captive in Syria for over 6 months, 2 Spanish journalists returned home this week. Javier Espinoza and Ricardo Garcia were kidnapped in September of 2013 near the Turkish border while reporting on the conflict in Syria. Their captors wanted to make sure the journalists were not spies. The 2 were handed over to Turkish authorities, but there are no details as to how they were released. Espinoza and Garcia shared tearful reunions with their colleagues and loved ones. Usually when people travel, they document the beautiful sights of their destination by taking pictures and sharing them. But have you thought about listening to them? British acoustic engineer Trevor Cox traveled the world for years with a microphone and a digital recorder, hoping to find what he called the sonic wonders of the world. From the singing sand dunes in California's Mojave Desert to the mating calls of bearded seals in Norway, Cox recorded these sounds and put them together in a book recently published as, you guessed it, the Sound Book. Cox says that we should be aware and think about what we're going to find while we're wandering around. But the most important thing to do is listen. The International Court of Justice closed a loophole in global law on Monday by forbidding whaling in Japan. The country argued the yearly whale hunts were for scientific purposes, even though the marine mammal's meat is common in Japanese cuisine. The Australian government challenged the whale hunting program with the UN's judicial branch, which led to the ruling. And that's what's going on in the world. I'm Tatiana Garcia with International News.
With all the recent earthquakes up and down the Pacific coast, some are fearing the big one is on its way. The Los Angeles area on Friday shook with a 5.1 magnitude quake. There were no injuries, but it was followed by a 4.1 magnitude quake along with 100 aftershocks. Thankfully, scientists say about 5% of all earthquakes are followed by something stronger within 3 days. The United States Geological Survey says they're predicting a 7.5 or greater to hit California within the next 30 years, likely around the Southern California area. While Californians were just settling back down, Chile was struck with an even bigger earthquake. The USGS estimates that an 8.2 earthquake rippled through the coastal cities. This is video of people fleeing the area because of a tsunami threat. 7-foot waves were reported near the coastlines.
You know, our planet's seemingly stable surface is actually constantly moving, and it's composed of enormous rock that's slowly moving underneath our feet. And when they rub and touch and crash against each other or crack, then there's this massive release of energy, and that's an earthquake.
We still can't.
Unlike California, Chile did not escape unharmed. At least 4 men and 1 woman died. 2 got heart attacks, and the other ones were crushed.
Friends and loved ones gathered to remember 2 men who died fighting a 9-alarm fire in Boston. This morning, St. Patrick's Church in Watertown was packed for the funeral of Lieutenant Ed Walsh. Walsh was a member of the department for 10 years and a husband and father of 3. This afternoon, a wake will be held for firefighter Michael Kennedy. Kennedy had 6.5 years on the job and was a United States Marine veteran. Both men died after they were trapped in a burning building, and more than a dozen other firefighters were also injured in the fire.
Our sports anchors have more for us now. Patrick Sisley, what up?
What's going on, Mike?
The same.
Welcome into Outlier Sports. I'm Patrick Wagner.
And I'm Cecily Seljaskog.
Major League Baseball's opening day was Monday, meaning the start of summer is right around the corner. But before we get there, the NCAA Final Four is set for a showdown in North Texas. Let's see how our picks stacked up. Now, as you can see, only one of us got one of our picks right. Cecily, what's going on? What did we do?
You know, my bracket struggled a little bit, but I still do have Florida hanging in there. You know, they're the only top seed left in the tournament. They've got the #1 defense in the country, and, you know, I think they might take it all. As for Iowa State, they had a tough time with one of their top scorers out, and, you know, they really didn't rally to the end, and by that point, it was definitely too late. Arizona, defensively, they played all right, but point blank didn't score enough baskets. Louisville, a lot of mistakes, missed too many three-pointers, got into some foul trouble, and, you know, some of their players definitely weren't on their A game.
Yeah, with Louisville just didn't score enough points. They got ran into the ground by Kentucky. Wisconsin's my national champion, so it was nice to see them win. They got a lot of assists. They passed the ball really well. It was nice and crisp. Michigan State got upset by a UConn team that's just hot, just running the ball, moving the ball, scoring a lot of points. And Syracuse, I don't know what I was thinking with Syracuse. I thought that they were going to return to their early season form, and unfortunately, they just didn't pack their defense. Now, moving to Major League Baseball. Opening day has come and gone pretty smoothly, I would say, but it didn't go without headlines. Cecily, what are the biggest storylines already in this young baseball season?
A big headline going into the season is if the Boston Red Sox will repeat as World Series champions. Can they recapture the magic they had last year? That remains to be seen. But they did capture some sensational selfies early this week after dropping their first game of the season to the Baltimore Orioles on Monday. The Red Sox took their championship visit to see President Barack Obama, and while at the ceremony, World Series MVP David Ortiz decided to take a selfie for the ages, sending the sports Twitter sphere on fire. The picture got over 40,000 retweets as well as more than 45,000 favorites, and deserves to go up in the Selfie Hall of Fame right next to Ellen's Oscar selfie. The Red Sox last year were no one's World Series favorite, but this year all eyes will fall on them.
Yeah, I think the biggest storyline this season so far has been the replay issues. You know, this new system is going to work. The MLB tried to do it something similar to what the NFL has been doing. You know, the call came good. You know, outfielder Ryan Braun was called safe at first. They went to the replay. They did find out he was out, but the problems have been coming along fairly quickly. Last night in the Arizona Diamondbacks game against the San Francisco Giants manager Bruce Bochy used his challenge early and got it wrong. Now, what that means is he doesn't get another challenge. However, the following play, A.J. Pollock was tagged out at home. They called him safe. Well, Bruce Bochy can request that they look at it, but once they didn't, there was nothing they could do. Well, that's going to be a look at what is going on in the sports world. Let's send it back to Sam and Mike at the desk.
After getting fed up with his daughter's messy room, Craig Schlischmeyer decided that he'd clear out the mess for her. He moved her entire room to the driveway, including her bed, desk, and computer. And he placed a sign that said, "Haley, your room moved to the driveway, clean it next time." Since taking such drastic measures, he wanted everyone to know Haley is a great daughter and a great student, and then he didn't mean to humiliate her. He just wanted to get his point across.
No, my intention was just to surprise her a little bit and let her know that we were serious about taking ownership and pride in her room and you know, doing the right thing. When we tell her to clean it up, you need to clean it up.
Craig and his daughter Haley have moved on, and he says his family's very close and they're very proud of her. The only issue was a dirty room.
Goodness, that is some serious parenting. Well, every week or so, I have different songs stuck in my head. One week it's 1D, and the next it's Miley. I like guilty pleasure music, calm down. Recently, it's been music from the movie Frozen, and the makers of the musical have some really cool news coming their way. That was kind of dumb. I know. The Disney flick is the highest grossing animated movie of all time. It premiered in theaters in November of last year. It's made over $1 billion worldwide, passing Toy Story 3 this week. That means it made 8 million big ones each day since it was released. Frozen earned about $400 million in the US and $600 million internationally. Other animated movies topping the list include Lion King at number 3, followed by Despicable Me 2 and Finding Nemo. All of these have not even crossed the $1 billion threshold. Oh.
Finding Nemo, you love Finding Nemo.
I love Ellen.
Mike loves Ellen. Civic Space Park was full of people attending the Moral March for Equality last weekend. Outlier reporter Miranda Reddy dropped by the event, and here's her story of the action.
Members of the community gathered in Civic Space Park this past Saturday for Arizona's Moral March for Equality. Organizers asked people of all colors, religions, and backgrounds, regardless of disability or heritage, to come together and protest a legislature that does not meet their standards on education, equality, and acceptance.
Because this is not just about the LGBT community, this is not just about the immigrant community, this is about all of us.
We are gay, straight, bi, transgender, Hispanic, white, black, Native American.
One of the highlights of the event was the number of speakers that gave their testimony to the crowd. From educators to concerned citizens, all of the speakers delivered powerful messages that the audience said really resonated with them.
I think really the sense of, camaraderie and like the friends that you make here and how you just feel so included in the group that's just going towards the same cause.
Superintendent candidate David Garcia emphasized the importance of education for Arizona's youth.
I'm here because I think it is my job and our moral imperative to do better for Arizona, and particularly for Arizona's children and Arizona's kids.
Kellen Baker, representing the Affordable Care Act, enjoyed informing people about the benefits that they could receive.
The most rewarding aspect is definitely talking with people who need the benefits of the Affordable Care Act, who don't know that plans can't discriminate against us because we're LGBT or T.
Members of the event also cheered and chanted during the march as they took steps towards equal representation. At the end of the day, dozens of people came together for the second time to fight for their cause. This has been Miranda Reddy.
Oh, so this is it. You've come a long way.
It's been a long 3 seasons, but an awesome
It's
3
been
seasons.
fun. I've enjoyed it all.
It has, and it wouldn't be possible without you, our outliers, our incredible team. Mike?
You. Ready? Same time.
All right.
Last time.
So remember,
why be normal
when you could be an outlier.